Hey y'all, welcome to What's Up Next. I'm Demetrius.
And I'm Justine.
You are now tuned into our podcast where we take a deep dive into some interesting topics and everyday situations that we face as a young millennial couple.
For those of you who don't know us, What's Up Next is a play on my soon-to-be last name, but it's for sure a common phrase in our household. Anyway, let's stop talking and let's get into this week's episode.
Let's get it. Justine!
What?
What's happening?
Hi.
You look good.
Thank you.
All right, bet.
As do you. Your braids look fresh, boy.
Oh, man. Okay, hold on. We're going to stop already. We're getting started. But I'm going to go ahead and take this moment to acknowledge you. Thank you for braiding my hair.
You're welcome.
I was going to tell them to hit you up if you need braids.
Don't hit me up. Don't hit me up. Don't hit me up.
She makes sure I don't look rough.
Y'all should have seen him before this.
Man, treacherous. And she's doing her best to make sure I don't cut my hair because, you know, right. I've really been tempted to, but she has her reasons.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, let's get started. So we got these really, really dope pod decks. Shout out to my brother for coming up with such a clutch thing for us to use.
Q2, appreciate you.
So we picked a card, and we won't do this every time, but for today, we picked a card out of the interview deck, and we're going to ask each other that question.
Okay, but who go first? Rochambeau? One out of one.
Okay.
Ready? Rochambeau. Okay, bet.
Go ahead.
I got to go first?
Yeah.
I got to ask you.
Loser.
Oh. All right, bet. So I got mine out of the interview.
Black deck.
And the question is, if you had someone following you all around the world, what would you have them do?
Take pictures of me. I would have to do it myself. Wait, like all around the world? Like
if you had someone following you all
you gotta ask the question right.
If you had someone following you around all the time, what would you have them do? I'm like, bro,
take notes.
Take notes.
Take notes.
That's a cocky answer.
No, like for me to use. No.
I thought you was like, yo, man, take notes. I'm doing my thing.
Not like take notes of me or of my actions. Take notes for me, so I don't have to take notes for myself.
So if you had someone following you around all the time, you would have them take notes.
Yes, 100%.
Why?
Because I feel like there's just too much for me to remember, and like I'm very much like.
You just want 100% of what you're doing at the time.
Yep.
You don't want to be... Okay,
Yep.
I respect that.
Yep.
All right, that was the question. Just so I'm not lying.
All right. My question is, and I took mine out of the interview blue deck, so it comes in a 3-pack or you can buy them individually, but...
Get your money's worth.
Just buy all 3.
Yep.
My question is to you, Watts.
Oh, Lord.
Have you ever worn clothing with the labels/tags still attached?
Yes, of course, but never intentionally. That's the funny part. Because you probably thought I was like, oh, yeah, go return it. I'm the type of dude to wear something and not be so excited to put it on or be ready to rock it that I forget there's the medium or large sticker hanging in the middle of my chest,
God.
Left pectoral. But other than that, I've never
You never done that intentionally?
I've never kept something on to return it. Nah, that's weird. I've never had a reason to do it. I won't call it weird because I know women, y'all like to finesse a lot of things.
Don't call me a finesser. I'm just...
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
A little frugal or cheap sometimes.
Smart money managing. We gonna keep the ball rolling though.
Anyway, so let's go ahead and get into money management, right?
Let's get it.
Because that's the topic of today. A lot of people have been asking for it, so I figure we're gonna go ahead and give it to them. Before we kick this off, though, I'm going to say this to anyone who's listening. If you have not subscribed to this podcast, please go do that now. Drop a comment on Apple.
I'm going to say you got to tell them where to subscribe because you can't subscribe everywhere, can you?
You can subscribe on Apple. And that is like 90% of our listeners right there.
Yeah, so
shout out. So go ahead and give us a rating, comment, subscribe.
Yeah, do all that.
View this visual on YouTube. Sorry, I cut you off. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I don't know why I try. Go ahead.
That's it. Anyway, go ahead, Watts.
Now, this was a topic you kind of formulated. I kind of want you to kick it off since you know this has been so heavy on your mind. Or you were like, yo, how do you feel about talking about this? And I'm like, yo, I think this would be a very helpful topic to some. And it pretty much stems from what?
Our finances, how we discuss finances, how we decide on certain financial decisions, big or small.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we can start with that. Let's start with the stats, though. Read me the stats.
Okay, stats. So from a study taken in 2019 or 2018?
2019.
It was at Cornell University, and the study showed that the average millennial has a net worth of $8,000, which is less than the amount that our parents had or were worth 40 years ago.
And mind you, my parents are 50.
See, they wolfing. They don't even know how old our parents is. You mean that my parents have a net worth higher than I have right now at the age of 10? I would highly disagree.
At the age of 10?
It said 40 years ago.
Oh, okay.
You said your parents are 50.
Well, yeah, but okay, we just reading the stats.
Their net worth would be a pencil, a bag of chips, and some gum.
Okay.
No, okay, so then we have that credit cards account for 38% of debt. Student loans account for 33% of debt. And
that's sad.
It really is. But I think it's the way of the societies of this capitalistic country that we live in. And then last but not least, 58% of millennials have a fair or poor credit score. Mm-hmm. Thoughts?
I'm not fair. I'm not poor, but I've been in both. That's my thought, for real.
Yeah.
And that's a climb.
I would say I was in the upper good credit scores. I say now I'm in the fair. You know, I tacked on the little things, which we're going to speak to later because we made some really important purchases. And we kind of just want to touch on the process of doing so because I feel too often society can control the decisions that we make individually and definitely as a couple.
For sure. So let's talk about, we'll give two examples, but let's talk about the biggest one, which was the move here.
Let's do it.
So 2018, right after graduation, 2018, we had already agreed, like, you're going to stay in Corvallis, I'll move to Dallas whenever you're ready. Cool. Or whenever barber school, whatever you decide to do. Mm-hmm. Just as long as, the plan was in place. So we probably got to October, and we really didn't have a plan in place for barber school yet.
Yeah, I was really comfortable where I was at, and although I tried situations, none kind of really were in my favor. Right. And I was kind of just coming from this place of privilege, like, I don't need it, or I just wasn't, my back wasn't against the wall as much as it could have been. Right. So
as a girlfriend.
At the time, yes.
At the time, I sent you, can I say this part?
Yeah, go ahead.
I sent you a fine email.
And tell them why you sent the email.
I sent the email because I was fed up.
Uh-huh.
I was really frustrated because I think at that time you just couldn't make a decision. And I was like, and like you said, your back wasn't against the wall, so you didn't have to make a decision. You were just like, I got time. And as much as I love this man, he is a procrastinator to the death of me. Yeah. He is a true procrastinator. So I sent him an email, and I said...
Hey, this was a thorough email, y'all.
It was, and I honestly, and my two bridesmaids know this, I sat on that email for almost a week before I sent it. Like, I typed it mad, and I sat on it, and then I sent it.
But let me just say, I didn't feel like, I know we're just going to touch on this email thing briefly. It wasn't disrespectful, though.
It wasn't. It was more
formulated like, yo, I care about you very deeply, and I need you to care about your success or your future as much as I do right now. Yeah. And not just your future, but our future. That's how it interpreted. 100%. That's how I interpreted. Yeah. So I was like, oh, she's serious. She really needs a decision to be made.
Yeah. So you read the email, and it was kind of like, I almost want to say it was like an ultimatum of either you come to Dallas and you do barber school, or you do barber school in Oregon. Mm-hmm. Maybe there was a third option, or just don't be with me. There might have been a third option, but I don't quite remember. But
you sound kind of bold right now. I don't know about that "don't be with me" statement, but you did advise that something be had.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So that happened. December, you came down. I think shortly after, you were like, okay, let's just do a tour. We came out here. We looked at 2 schools. You made the decision. Mm-hmm. And then 2 days after those tours, we went and looked at a car.
Right. And so we went to
because we knew I only had my car out here, and we knew we weren't going to bring your car from Corvallis.
And there was a business venture that I was thinking that I would engage in or embark on once I moved out here, but didn't end up playing out that way. And that was willing. That was just the natural course of life.
Correct.
Anyways, we're at Chevrolet
dealership
and pretty much looking at a truck.
That's all he wanted was a dang
I just wanted the Silverado, and it's like limited edition. And I'm like, all right, let's run the thing on this. You know, my pockets is feeling pretty full at the moment. And they hit us with pretty much like, yo, this is what it's going to cost. No, nothing down. And I seen that number, and I was like, And she, she nudging me, like, let's just walk out. And I'm like, I can stomach this. But we had that, we had a quick discussion. It was like, it kind of brought me to my understanding that I'm about to move out here, lose all my clientele, start over, and so that income that I feel so comfortable earning right now won't be there.
Right.
And so I had to make a wise decision. Is this car a necessity, or is this going to be a luxury? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Is this a need, or is this a want? And we walked off that lot with nothing purchased and understand we just going to thug it, which led us to 10 months in your Acura TL 2006.
You know what? And that car's still doing us some justice.
Yeah, it's doing its thing for sure. And you had work. I had barber school. My days were going from 8 to 10 p.m. because, especially when I started working at the suite, halfway through.
At first, it was cool. Because you weren't working from 8 to 10. You were working 8 to like 6. Mm-hmm. Or maybe 10.
Coming straight home, yeah.
A little later than that. So it was like 10 to 6, and then we started flexing times. But you would drop me off. You'd go to school. I would literally stay at work in the building, or I would walk home. And then...
Yeah, if I was too late.
If you were too late, I would just walk home.
Yeah.
A couple times I get left at work.
Hey, I'd be so tired leaving the shop. I would go straight home, and she'd be like, where you at? I'm like, oh, bro. Good thing you only live like around the corner, or your job was around the corner.
Yeah, it was less than a mile. So I'm not sitting here acting like I walked like 10 miles or anything. But it wasn't that bad, which is probably why we were okay doing it.
We did it. And we had definitely, I know I had frustrations about the situation.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm just like, bro, I can get a car. Like, I can get a car. Like, we can get a car. Let's stop playing like we're broke and get a car. But
it wasn't even that.
It wasn't even that. And it was more so just living below your means. And if we can sacrifice right now for these 10 months, who knows what happened. So we did the barber school joint, and when I finished...
Yeah. You literally finished and...
And then we bought... How did that work?
Well, right before you finished, we had been talking about it. We were like, okay, it's like that time. Because I think I was like, I'm missing out on way too much, and I was at home a little bit more often because I also travel for work. So... Mm-hmm. It was okay then. It wasn't okay come October of last year. So we had talked about it. I sent him a few cars. Here's the options. I found one here, did the research. We pulled up at CarMax. We were like, yep, that's it. And I was like, give me some time. Mm-hmm. Let me figure out if I can find it somewhere else. And then I knew I had to deal with Enterprise. So I was like, let me go to Enterprise right quick. Went over there. We found the exact car we wanted, the model we wanted. Not the price, but we were like, you know what? Less miles. Mm-hmm. And we were like, you know what? It's okay. Like, we held out on 10 months to get what we wanted.
Right.
Now. So we walked out the door with a Jeep Grand Cherokee 2019.
Everything that we wanted.
Everything we wanted. And mind you, we walked out the door with $20 less in a car payment than what we would have walked out with a year ago with that Silverado. And I'm not saying that because I'm
later.
like, right,
Yeah.
but I'm saying the sacrifice of being willing to wait was so worth it because I would have been sick.
I would have been sick paying on that car note.
And this is also the first time you and I have ever had a car note. Like, car notes are nothing pretty. I will say that. For anyone who's considering it, if you don't need one, don't take one.
Yeah, if it ain't mandatory or if your situations don't depend on it,
yeah,
definitely wait it out. It'll be worth it once you feel comfortable making that purchase. If it's gonna be a burden, there are already liabilities until you pay them off. So let's just understand that from jump. So ain't no sense in putting yourself through that pressure.
Yeah.
Or stress if there is no need to.
And I will say the only deal breaker for me on getting the car, at least personally on my end, because we knew somebody's credit got to get ran for this.
Yeah.
So I was like, that was my nudge to pay off student loans because I knew another debt was coming. I was like, ooh. And that's why I like wrapped my student loans in October and we got the car October 15th.
You know what would have been really bad if I got that car? Because I was paying on your ring that whole year without you knowing.
You're right. You're right.
I would have put myself in a bind. But I didn't end up... So we did that in the beginning of December. So it's like December 3rd, December, whatever. That's when I was out here. I didn't end up getting your ring until the end of December when we went home for Christmas.
Yeah.
And so... who knows what could have happened if I kind of locked myself into an agreement on the vehicle and then try to go look for your ring. Yeah. And it...
that would have been ugly. So...
would have been postponed.
I think moral of the story, of that story at least, is needs and wants and living well below your means. And one thing I had said to Watts was like, just because you're living well below your means doesn't mean you're broke. By any means. Like, you can live below your means to save up for something, to feel more comfortable where you're at, to
pay off debt.
So, I mean, that was a big thing for you and I to understand about each other and like, hey, where do we flex and what are we willing to sacrifice in order to get something better at the end or to just hold off so that we don't feel the pain, because our sanity was the biggest thing at that time.
Absolutely. To me, now, currently, nothing is worth your sanity.
No.
Nothing's worth your peace.
Nope.
No car, not the clothes on my body, not the shoes that I'm wearing, not the rings on fingers, not the trips you can take. Nothing is worth your sanity. No, I say that just... Yeah, leave me alone.
I'm not wearing my ring. But, okay, cool. So let's hop into the idea of what you encountered moving here too, because behind that email was also a little negotiation piece of, if you move here, this is what I'm willing to do, and this is what you should be willing to accept from me. And as someone who takes you serious and wants to be in a serious relationship with you, I'm willing to sacrifice this so that you can feel comfortable.
Right. And then so I like speaking on this because it's very powerful. Powerful to me. I could really care less if other people think it's powerful. But to my men that are listening to this podcast, if you could relate, I'm sure you could relate to the fact that it's really hard for us to accept people who are trying to help us. We often are like, yo, I can do it myself, or nah, I don't need your help. And me in particular, so caught up on my pride that I'm really not trying to accept any monetary help from a partner. And in that discussion, you had very well like articulated, like, you know, I've been doing this, I've been living out here, I've been paying my rent and doing my thing without you here. I'm willing to still carry on the task of paying rent.
Right.
If you come out here and you just 100% commit to doing your thing and grinding and building your Cuts by Watts up out here.
Yeah.
And while I questioned that for so long, like I said, I really had to swallow my pride and be like, yo, she, for one, cares about my well-being. And she's willing to do it. Why won't I allow her to do it? What am I losing by allowing her to let me do this? What am I losing by letting her support me in this way?
Right.
And it was really nothing. And then once I got rid of the idea of being less of a man because you were willing to support me, I was able to really step out on that faith and make that transition. And then, look, here we are now.
Yeah.
But if I would kind of let societal standards and all of that take precedence over what I truly felt like I wanted to do, who knows where we would be.
That's very true. And it worked vice versa. Because when I moved out here, I was like, hey, even with relocation.
Yeah.
There's no way I can afford to do this by myself. And there was no hesitation on your end to be like, here, I'm loaning you this or I'm sliding you this. Just make sure that you're comfortable.
Yeah.
That didn't mean like my apartment when I first moved here was all souped up, but it meant you just had enough to survive and be good.
Yeah, until you got what you needed from your employers.
Right.
And
we've done that a lot in our relationship where
from jump.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Sophomores in college, it's always been one person's up, the other person's kind of, working their way.
Right.
To a better situation.
I think we're finally at a place, and this is like as of recent, probably in the last month, where we're finally level set where we don't have to rely on each other financially necessarily. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in like, hey, you don't pay half for rent, I don't pay half for rent type of thing. But what I'm saying is like, if we both wanted to do something big on our own, we absolutely could now.
Yeah.
I still love you. I still want you to be there with me for all my big decisions. But
yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Which is
and it
good.
took a lot for us to get there. A lot.
For sure. What are we? 4 or 5 years?
Into
this? Yeah, into this thing. So it definitely takes time. And to those listening, don't ever feel like you need to rush into a situation. Or like run away from a situation or be scared to hop into an opportunity due to what other people may think or what you've been built on to believe.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, the world don't got your best interest. Sometimes it's really going to be your family, your partner, your friends that have your best interest, and you need to listen to them.
And social media definitely don't have your best interest.
Right. In which
at all.
We need to get into social media. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick break. So, y'all, hold on for a second. One quick second, please. Thank you very much.
You're silly. Okay.
Hey, can we get that beat back one time? So let me put you on some game real quick. If you or someone you know is considering starting a podcast, Anchor is the way. Anchor contains many features that make podcasting enjoyable and efficient for all. Anchor also allows you to record and edit your podcast from any device. But the best part, it's free. And you can get paid for it. So what you should do is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. What are you waiting for? You could be up next.
So, social media. Facts on social media really quick.
Talk to me.
And this I literally just took from a reliable source that does Instagram analytics. So, 49% of millennials, which is the ages right now, 23 to 38, didn't even know that, but say social media influenced them to spend money on experiences according to Modern Health Survey. Thoughts?
How much you said? 48%?
49.
49%. So nearly half of millennials make decisions based on how it will be perceived by the masses on social media.
Ain't that crazy?
It's crazy, but I can't say I'm surprised.
I'm not surprised. I think I'm more so... Is it crazy to say I'm disappointed?
Why?
Because I feel like too often do we let a vacation, a wedding, a proposal, things like that influence how big we have to do it. And we always feel like we have to top someone else's post or have what someone else posted. Someone posts a pair of Balenciagas. Bruh, those are dope. Those are clean.
No, I need a pair.
I'm going to get me a pair.
But I didn't want a pair prior to seeing that person post.
Exactly. You never thought about that brand. Never once. But now you see it on someone else's feed that you know. And you're like, if they can afford it, I can afford it. Or I should be able to afford it. And whether you can or you cannot, you're going to stretch that pocket to make sure you can now afford it. You know what I'm saying?
That's what you try to live to keep up with the Joneses. You're going to die trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Absolutely.
So.
And nobody ever should do that.
Nah, not nobody in their right mind. But then again, you really got to be in tune with who you are and the principles and morals that you stand on to not be swayed by public opinion.
Correct.
And I think that's kind of where our generation fails at. It's kind of like, yo, whoever did it, we have this saying, it's either do it first or do it better.
100%.
And we use that in regards to business and, business, like different ideas and ventures out there.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this product line is out. We clearly didn't do it first. How can we do it better? But I believe that definitely applies to people in our lifestyles that we live on social media.
Right.
And it ain't worth our sanity. I'll go back to saying that again. It ain't worth your sanity.
No.
And I know I've probably been there. Can't really pinpoint a time when I was like that, but I won't sit here and lie and say I haven't been influenced by social media or a decision that I made.
Oh, 100%.
Was influenced by social media.
100%. I've been influenced by social media.
How do you get out of that?
I think you got to check yourself and be like, why do I need it? Again, the need and the want. Why do I need to do this? Who am I proving this to? Mm-hmm. Because am I doing it for the person that I saw do it first? You know what I'm saying? Or am I doing it for myself to fulfill this emptiness of like, I don't know why you would do it, but I think that's the only way you can get out of it is you got to check yourself first.
Is there a good way to be influenced by social media when it comes to making a decision? So, devil's advocate, physical health. You see a lot of people in shape. Now, granted, some people faking a flashing with the Photoshop. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But there are people who really have healthy lifestyles, healthy habits, and wish to share it with the world, and have done their part in influencing a lot of us.
Right.
If I'm influenced by social media in a way that gets me off the couch and allows me to go work out or allows me to go make dinner instead of ordering something, that's a good thing, right?
It is a good thing, but how many of us are following more of them than those? You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's not for me to judge or interpret.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying when you're scrolling through social media, what are you typically doing? You're killing time. Mm-hmm. You're not doing it to research nothing. You're not doing it to be like, I want to be motivated right now. You're doing it to kill time, truthfully. Like, to be entertained by someone else's life. You know what I'm saying?
Is the problem.
That's the problem right there. And then we think that what we see, we now internalize, and now, okay, I see this person did this. Now, the next app I'm about to go open is my Bank of America. Can I do that?
Yeah, that's not something I can relate with. But if I was in that position, that would be tough. That lifestyle can't be fun.
Yeah, and now social media makes it even worse because now they got this little tag thing where it says shop now, or anytime you talk about something, it just magically pops up on your Instagram because the feds be listening to you. So what I feel like the real issue here is not social media, but people's inability to have their purchases and transaction actually align with their net worth.
So I said that slowly. So people are not
I agree with you.
living below their means. They're living above their means while they're not even bringing out or bringing the income to support those means, right?
Correct. 100% correct.
Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's a good way for us to tie that all up of how do you maintain the wants and the needs and being able to tell yourself, hey, let me earn it first. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Let me wait a little longer and earn this car. Let me wait a little longer and go on a vacation I can really be on and not worry about money.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And for example, while we were in college, maybe post-college as well, were invited to a few different, friend vacations. Mm-hmm. Whether that was a Europe vacation, Mexico, whatever. And we passed on it because...
Sadly.
Right. And it wasn't... Yes, sadly, actually. And it wasn't because we didn't want to go or we didn't want to go with those people. It was because we really had to sit there and look at ourselves can we afford to do this?
Yeah, without looking back at it. Because we've been there. I know a lot of us, and I hope I ain't the only one on this, but my brothers, my sisters, my mom can attest to when I used to go places and a transaction be made, and I'm immediately checking my bank account.
Yeah.
To see, for one, did it overdraft, and for two, how much I got left if I didn't overdraft.
Yeah.
And that's just a very uncomfortable feeling. I mean, that's something I've been able to shape just within the recent few years.
Mm-hmm. You gotta hit that one overdraft fee though to be I'll never do that again.
Yeah. It takes one gut punch for you to be all right, this ain't the life I'm trying to live.
Right.
But you said let me just wait a little bit longer. Let me just grind and earn it. But I also don't want to ignore the fact that some people have paid their dues and have already earned it and go ahead and treat themselves to things that they want, whether needs or wants. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think the only issue is when you go in debt trying to
to do it. Yeah. And you can't thoroughly enjoy it because of that. I
know I couldn't.
Right.
I guess 49% of millennials can, because clearly they're doing it. I
can't be part of that 49%.
But I couldn't do something for the look of it while knowing my pockets is still hurting, or my mind ain't right because I'm constantly feeling like I wasted my money, or it wasn't what I thought, or I just did it for the wrong reasons. I couldn't live like that.
Right. And
I'm not saying I'm completely exempt from making those decisions. I think I've made them less frequently. Mm-hmm. But even the times where I do slip up and maybe fall into that...
you correct yourself.
Yeah, I'm yo, that was
a little frivolous spend.
Yeah.
That you didn't need to spend. But, hey, I mean, even just recently, I said, I really wanted an iPad right before my birthday. I was I'm not getting this iPad until... you did. What I make from stocks can pay for it. Mm-hmm. Because I'm not using my salary to pay for it. I'm not using anything to pay for it unless I earned it first. And it's that mentality that you come into as a young adult, or you need to come into as a young adult, to understand, hey, do I need this? Do I not need this? Moving into this apartment, did we need 2 bedrooms? No. Did we want it for what we were embarking? Yes. Could we afford it? That was for us to figure out. It's little things like that, and that goes back to Adulting 101. It's not the money aspect of it. It's the decision. It's the decision.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And that really just sums it up right there. I don't feel like spending money on what you want or need is wrong. Like I said, if it comes back to it being I put myself in debt, or it's just a pure liability that I don't have an asset that pays for it. It's just a situation I'm not willing to be in. And more I'm recognizing how many more of those situations will arise through future expectations or through future occasions of mine or ours.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of ours, last question that I have here to ask you, and I challenge anyone who's listening to us, if you have a partner, to ask them this as well. Do you view your debt as our debt together?
No.
Why?
We didn't incur the debt together.
Oh.
Debt we incurred together is up to us to tackle and pay off together. But if it's just me running my credit card that's on my personal line, I don't think that's your job to help me pay off. Now, I will accept and expect your assistance with making sure I stay in order, which you've recently helped me do. Like, yo, go throw that card take those bills off of there and go throw that card in the safe. Because your goal right now is to what? Pay it off. And I was like, okay, that makes sense.
To avoid using it. For anybody, that is my tip. That is my financial tip to you. If you want to pay off debt,
I ain't cutting it up now because I got a pretty good score on there. You know what I'm saying? I got a pretty good.
You interrupted what I was trying to teach the people here.
My bad.
My tip for y'all: if you are trying to pay down debt on a credit card, take the credit card out of your wallet, go put it somewhere, give it to somebody you trust, and say, "Hey, hold this for me until it is 100% down." I mean, I'll hold your credit card for you.
Nah, that's cool. Or just put it somewhere where you want it to be. That's why I shook my head on the, I ain't giving it to nobody.
I said somebody you trust. I didn't say give it to just anybody.
Okay, there's a lot of people you trust that.
Come on now.
That what is it?
Again, defeating my purpose of what I'm trying to teach you.
Abuse the trust. But the thing that spoke to me was not putting the card away, because I had no issue not using the card, but it was the constant payments.
Yeah.
Or the constant bills that were going on that I could never really beat because I'm constantly using credit instead of just using the money that I have. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I think you made a really good point. So I want to go back to that really quick. You made a good point saying it is your job as a partner to make sure I am upholding my payments, or however you may have phrased that. Mm-hmm. But think about it on a bigger scale too, is if you're in debt and I'm not in debt, making a purchase like a house affects the both of us. So do you, now that I've given you that, do you view your debt as our debt going into something else, now that we're adding that piece into it?
That makes sense. I could definitely see how you could perceive one person's debt as a job to tackle as a unit.
Yeah.
When you put it like that, I feel you.
And I think with like the car, right? That's our debt. We both utilize the vehicle. Mm-hmm. It's not like, oh, nope, that's just Watts' car. That went on Watts' credit. That, like, we both work through our partnership to pay off that debt.
Yeah, and we figured out how can we both equally contribute.
Yeah.
Now, it's not to the point of, oh, yeah, give me your half for this note and I'm going to put up my half for the note. That's not how we went about it at all.
No. How did we go about it, though?
You was like, hey, I got the insurance. And it pretty much levels out to what you would be paying on the note. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if there's other things that you...
Yes and no. Yes and no. So
and it may not even have to be even, because obviously if a person is utilizing it more, that's also okay for them to step up to the plate and take more ownership of their bigger piece of the pie.
Yes. I agree with that. Mm-hmm. I think our negotiation for it was like I would take a lot more of the smaller bills that accumulated to that per month. Yeah, and that's how we kind of worked that out. I know some other couples out there do like a certain percentage of whatever you bring in a month goes towards a joint account, and then you pull money from that joint account to pay off your bills. I know some people who do that.
Yeah, I've definitely heard of that.
Which I think is very reasonable, as long as you're willing to have that conversation of, hey, how are we going to do this? Is this financial decision the best for both of us? If there is one no in the both of us, then it shouldn't be a move worth making, in my opinion. Do you agree?
I agree with you. We see an eye to eye.
So, with that, I think that's our financial tips and tricks and advice on how we handle some things.
Mm-hmm.
If y'all handle things differently, though, we would love to hear it because we've been taking notes on some other couples that have done some really good things as well. Would you agree?
I'm like, why you make that face? Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I definitely would agree. So, if you are in a situation where you have some advice to offer, go ahead and shoot us a DM. Go ahead and tweet us. Whatever platform suits you, you can find us anywhere. And we would love to hear what you got to say because, as we mentioned before, we're trying to learn together.
Right.
It's not that we have it all figured out. We just want to share our experience and grow with the community that supports us. And with that being said, whatever you got to share, we're going to be open ears. And thank you to everybody who's shared and interacted with us thus far.
Yeah.
It definitely goes a long way. And we just love the support and the community that we've built thus far.
And the energy.
Yeah, for sure.
Energy of the people who have supported, we appreciate very much. So with that, we thank y'all for tuning in. We appreciate y'all.
Be sure to stay tuned for What's Up Next every Wednesday at 8 a.m. We got new material for y'all. Thank you. Much love.